In 2019, I went to Universal Orlando Resort for the very first time, and the resort hotel that we stayed at was Aventura Hotel. I haven't stayed there since until recently, and I gotta be honest with you, this hotel really surprised me. So I'm excited to tell you all my thoughts on Aventura Hotel at Universal Orlando Resort. Hey everyone, it's Christian with Vertigo Views, and I am a theme park enthusiast with a love for all things travel. I recently visited Universal Orlando Resort again, like I had said, and I stayed at Aventura Hotel, which I hadn't stayed at since my very first trip to Universal all the way back in 2019. So I kind of went in knowing what to expect, but I was interested to see how I compared this hotel to the others that I had stayed at. I had stayed at all the Universal Orlando hotels at this point and was excited to return to this one to see how it compared now that I visited all the other ones. So I was kind of blown away by some of the amenities and things that you can experience here. So let's talk a little bit more about this hotel. So it's a prime value hotel, which means it's in that middle category of Universal Orlando's hotel tiers. So you're supposed to have some more amenities than the Value Inn and Suites like Cabana Bay, Dockside and Surfside, and you're supposed to have maybe not quite as amenities as somewhere like Royal Pacific or Portofino Bay. Other hotels in this tier include Terra Luna and Stella Nova over by Epic Universe. First of all, I want to talk about the location of this hotel. The location makes this hotel great. I didn't realize how close this hotel is to Volcano Bay. I had constantly been thinking that Cabana Bay was the closest hotel on Universal property to Volcano Bay. And if you stay in one of the towers that have the Volcano Bay view rooms at Cabana Bay, that may be entirely true. And Cabana Bay does have its own private entrance to Volcano Bay. It's the only hotel on property that does. However, this hotel may technically be closer because literally a few steps behind the pool of Aventura Hotel is the main entrance to Volcano Bay. So you walk out of the lobby, you go to the pool, and you go down a ramp behind the pool and you're at Volcano Bay's entrance. It's insanely close. You can walk there in probably under 5 minutes. In addition, you're still fairly close to Islands of Adventure, Universal Studios Florida, and City Walk, and they do provide bus transportation to those parks, as well as to Epic Universe, since that is about 15 minutes away. However, you are also right next to Sapphire Falls. So if you don't want to take a bus, what you can do is you can just take a 2 or 3 minute walk to Sapphire Falls, go down to their lower level, and take a boat ride to City Walk, which is great because you get your own security. You don't have to go through the big City Walk security that everybody has to go through. You go through security when you're getting on the boat, and the boat rides are the best way to get around Universal Orlando. Everyone knows that. They're so fun. So the location of this resort really blew my mind because not only are you super close to Volcano Bay, you have great access to the other theme parks, and you're right next to Sapphire Falls, which means you can go to Strongwater Tavern, which is my favorite place to eat on property. You can go to Ametista Cookhouse. Cabana Bay is also right next door, so if you want to go to Galaxy Bowl and do some bowling, or if you prefer the pools over there with the sandy beaches, you can go over there and experience those as well. So the location of this resort hotel is top tier. Again, as with all Universal hotels, there is no free transportation to or from the Orlando airport. They do provide their Superstar shuttle for a fee, but just plan on either using that, a shared car service, or taking an Uber or Lyft to get to and from the hotel to the airport. And additionally, there is no super close entrance to Epic Universe. So if you're planning on spending most of your time on your trip at Epic Universe, you may want to look at one of the hotels that are in that area, as it will be about a 12 to 20 minute bus ride depending on traffic and the speed your driver is driving at to get there. Just a reminder, I am a travel agent and travel advisor, so I can help you book your trip as well as plan your itinerary on your next Universal Orlando Resort vacation. Through my host agency, Withdrawals Travel, I really want to make sure that you're having the most fun you can on your vacation without all the stress. So I'll work with you to come up with the perfect strategy for you that's within your budget, So you and the people you're traveling with, or just you if you're deciding to travel solo, no judgment, I do that quite a bit, want to make sure that you're having the best time possible. So reach out if you're interested. The link will be in the description below. Talking a little more about the rooms, the accommodations, and sort of the overall vibe of this hotel, I'll be honest, if you're looking for a hotel that has a ton of theming, this is not going to be the place for you. The theme here I can best describe as sleek and modern. You'll find a lot of floor-to-ceiling windows. You'll find a lot of things that look a little fancier and more on the upscale side, but still feel at home in a prime value hotel. You may even find a robot wandering around who's able to help you and deliver things to your room. But there's no strong theming. Like, you're not going to find a ton of Minions stuff here. You're not going to see a ton of Jurassic Park stuff here. There is, of course, a gift shop where you can purchase all your Universal merchandise. But if you're looking for somewhere where the rooms and the resort are going to be extremely themed to either a well-known IP or somewhere like the shores of Italy, this is not going to be the place for you. However, I really like this hotel. I still think it's very nice and chic, even though it's not super themed and not as overdone as other theme park hotels can be. So I really enjoy it. On my most recent visit, I stayed at the Deluxe Queen room, which means that it's a little bigger than the standard 2 queen room. I stayed in that room the first time I went to Universal in 2019, but this time we sort of treated ourselves and got a little more space. I will say the view from the Aventura rooms, depending on where you're facing, are really great. We had a great view of Cabana Bay and Volcano Bay, and this room did feel a little more spacious. I liked how the beds weren't right next to each other, so you didn't necessarily feel like you were on top of the person you were staying with while you're sleeping or while you're just navigating around the room. But I will say one of the weird things we noticed about this room is that the lighting is in kind of weird spots. Like, I think there needed to be some more lighting in the room for when it got dark out. Obviously, during the day, you've got those floor-to-ceiling windows that go through most of the room. But at nighttime, the lights were kind of in weird spots. Like, there weren't lights directly over the bed. They were only on the side, which meant you were kind of lit in a weird way. And some of the light switches controlled multiple lights in the room. So if you only wanted the light on in the actual room itself, you had to flip a switch that turned that light on, as well as a few others throughout the room that you didn't necessarily want on. So the lighting is a bit weird in this hotel room at night, so just kind of be aware of that. But other than that, the beds were really comfortable. The fan in this room, if you leave the AC on, or if you decide to turn the AC off but keep the fan running, the fan can actually get really loud. So if you like white noise, or if you like drowning out the sound of the person next to you sleeping, that can be really beneficial. I find that a lot of the newer hotels at Universal have really loud fans, which I really like sleeping with that thing cranked up because the sound helps me to fall asleep. Like I said, beds were comfortable. The room felt pretty spacious. Overall, I really liked the room. I would say it's worth the upgrade if you're going to be staying with more than one person on your trip and you like your space. But if you're going by yourself, I don't think you necessarily need to spend more for this room. Granted, it's not like it was a ton more, but it was a little more expensive than the regular standard 2 queen room. So just keep that in mind. I don't think this is a necessary upgrade, but it's definitely something that's nice to have. Everything in the rooms is also controlled by an iPad, which is pretty cool. Although I will say sometimes I just want to do something really simple like turn on or off a light, and I just needed to make sure I was tapping on the right thing. So if you have people in your party that are kind of technology averse, this could be something that may be an issue for them. But it's really cool to still be able to control everything in your room from an iPad. But just keep in mind, that iPad will be your way to do so many things, like turn on and off the lights, the TV, the air conditioning, and even order room service if you choose to do so. The dining at Aventura Hotel is sort of a mixed bag. On the one hand, you've got Urban Pantry, which is sort of their regular food court style dining area. And we had breakfast here and it was okay. There wasn't anything that really blew me away. There is a place here that makes pizza that my friend I was traveling with said makes pretty good pizza based on what they've had in the past. But this is overall pretty standard to what you'd find somewhere like Stella Nova or Terra Luna. It's good, but it's nothing here that's really going to blow you away. Now, I will say, one of the unique things, if not the most unique thing about this hotel, is that they have Bar 17 Bistro, which is all the way up on the rooftop of this hotel. And it provides you some really great views of the surrounding area. We're talking great views of Cabana Bay, Volcano Bay. You can even see Dockside and Surfside. And if you look in the distance, you can even see Epic Universe, and sometimes you can see the fireworks going off at some of the Disney parks. So the views up here are spectacular. I will say recently they changed the menu, or at least more recently since I've been there. And now the menu, the food kind of has this Korean Asian style flair to it, which is just not necessarily the vibe I want when I come up here. I kind of just want like burgers and fries, or like something that just feels a little more like some elevated bar food. So the food here is not necessarily something I would want when I come up here. So I normally come up and normally get a drink. Occasionally I'll get the burger. I had that the very first time I stayed at Universal at this hotel, and the burger was pretty good. But this is a really cool place to come up here and just have a drink and chill out. We did that on our very first day here. We basically got to the hotel, dropped our bags off, and went up there for a drink before we went into the parks. And that was a great way to start our vacation and get into vacation mode. So like I said, the views are spectacular. The menu leans a little more towards that Korean, Asian inspired cuisine. So if you're not into that, this may not be the place for you, but it's a really fun place to get a drink and to hang out. Other than that, I gotta be honest, right next door at Sapphire Falls is Strongwater Tavern and Ametista Cookhouse. And Strongwater is my favorite place to eat on Universal property. So if I stay at Aventura, it's almost a guarantee that I'm going to be going to Strongwater at least once. But that's one of the perks of this hotel, is you're so close to some other places that if you don't like the options at Aventura, you can just go there. So like I said, you can go to Strongwater at Sapphire Falls, or you could go to Galaxy Bowl if you want to bowl and have some food at a bowling alley over at Cabana Bay. You're honestly also not even that far of a walk from Royal Pacific. So if you want to go to Jake's or any of the offerings they have there, you could do that as well. So while the food at Aventura isn't anything that's going to blow you away, Bar 17 Bistro is a really cool experience, and you're so close to other options where you can eat at that it's still kind of a benefit of this hotel that you're so close to be able to do that. Let's talk pools, perks, and amenities at Aventura Hotel. So they do have a swimming pool here. It's a little on the smaller side. It's definitely not as big as the pools at Cabana Bay or the pool at Sapphire Falls or Royal Pacific, which are nearby. The pool is fine. I would say it's nothing that's going to blow you away. They do have a little splash pad. They do have a pool bar. We stayed out there one night, but it kind of started to get a little chilly, so we went inside. They do have a hot tub here, which I am a big fan of a hot tub in general, but especially on vacation, so that's a nice perk. But other than that, the pool here isn't necessarily anything to write home about. It's nice, it gets the job done. But again, right behind the pool is Volcano Bay. So if you want to spend all day lounging by a pool, get a ticket to Volcano Bay and go do it there. Or if you're able to, go spend time at the pool at Cabana Bay that has sandy beaches and a lazy river. Or walk next door to Sapphire Falls and experience their pool, which is massive and has a water slide, sandy beaches, and a ton of space. So again, you're surrounded by better options, which is why the fact that the pool here isn't so amazing isn't necessarily a bad thing. As with all Universal on-property hotels, you do get early theme park entry whenever you're staying there. So you'll be able to get into the theme parks up to an hour earlier than the general public can. Just be sure to check or work with your travel advisor on which parks and which rides are going to be open during those times. You also still get free transportation around the resort, so you can take buses to and from City Walk, as well as Epic Universe. And then if you want to go to Volcano Bay, it's just right behind the resort, so you can just walk there. And also too, my pro tip is if you want to not ride a bus to City Walk and you kind of want a little more of an elevated experience, walk next door to Sapphire Falls and hop on the boat transportation there. It's my favorite way to get around the resort. This hotel does not come with any free express pass. So if you're somebody who wants to shorten your wait times, you're going to have to pay for your express passes individually. They are not included in your stay at Aventura Hotel. This is also one of the hotels, as with the other hotels on Universal property, where you can get free package delivery service. So up to 24 hours before your checkout date, you can actually get any merchandise you buy in the parks sent to your hotel room, which is a really great benefit. I've used it before. Highly recommend using it. Just keep in mind that there is sort of a time cutoff for whenever they're able to do that at the end of the day. I want to say it's like 5 or 6 p.m., or you may not get it until the next day or the day after. and you have to do it before 24 hours before your checkout date. So just keep that in mind, but it is a really great perk if you're able to use it. Overall, I really enjoyed my stay at Aventura Hotel. I think the price point for what you get here is very fair. I will say, if you're somebody who loves Volcano Bay and wants quick access to that water park, this is going to be one of, if not the best location for you to stay at, because again, it's just right behind the swimming pool to get there. I will say, if you're going to be spending a lot of time at Epic Universe, this is one of the hotels that's a little farther away, so you may want to consider staying somewhere like Helios Grand Hotel, Terra Luna, or Stella Nova. Those would probably suit your needs better. And I will say here that while there are some nice perks and amenities, the perks and amenities that are offered at the hotels next to this one are a little better, but that in and of itself is a perk of this hotel, is the location. Like I said, you can walk across the street and go to Cabana Bay and experience their lazy river, the pools they have there, Galaxy Bowl, and then you can walk the opposite direction, and about 2 minutes away is Sapphire Falls, where you can experience Strongwater Tavern, Ametista Cookhouse, boat transportation to and from City Walk, as well as their swimming pool. While the perks and amenities at Aventura themselves, for the most part, aren't anything to write home about, you're sandwiched between two hotels that have great perks and amenities, and so you can just walk over and experience those yourself. I will say though, the view from the rooms, as well as the view from the top of Bar 17 Bistro, is really cool and pretty unique to this hotel. So that is definitely a really fun perk if you want to go have a drink somewhere that is sort of a little more elevated, and not only in terms of what they offer, but also literally it's high up in the sky, it's 17 floors up. Definitely check out Bar 17 Bistro. I would definitely stay here again. I thought that the rooms were really nice. I think that the vibe of this hotel is something I really like, because I kind of like that modern chic aesthetic. But again, if you're somebody who doesn't want to stay at a hotel like that and wants a little more theming, this still may not be the place for you, but I would definitely stay here, especially if the price is right. I think that being sandwiched in between Cabana Bay and Sapphire Falls is actually a really great location. So I'm looking forward to staying here again. What do you think? Leave a like and comment if you are interested in more videos like this, or if you stayed at Aventura Hotel, and let me know what your thoughts were. And until next time, have an epic day.